Back, eyes closed.
This one's got, I asked him about that, I said, you know, and he's got a camera looking right at you, and if you look off for a period of time, it starts to see. He said, you know, it's got all the safety. I said, well, I won't be using it much.
My wife has a.
Morning.
Good morning.
You're right on time.
Best I can see it. Their cars are getting too smart.
Yeah, they're
for
too,
it.
for dumb.
Good man, how are you? Good. I got it on my phone, but they're probably easier to see.
Sean, are we ready? Yep. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We'd like to call the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. I'd like to welcome each one of you here. If you're here for the Planning Commission, it will meet immediately after the Board of Zoning Appeals. We're going to do the Board of Zoning first. The first item of business will be the minutes of the November 5th meeting. Does everyone get a chance to look those over?
Yes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Second. Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second. In discussion, there being none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item of business, this is a special exception. It's on Mulligan Street. Is someone here to present this? Good morning.
How are y'all?
Good.
I'm asking for a special exception on Mulligan Street to be able to build 5 single-story duplexes on that property. The square footage is there. I think the only thing is just asking for the special exception for it to be single-family duplexes.
Okay. Does any board members have any questions for Chase while he's up here? Sean, you want to bring us up to date on this?
Yeah, so this is a request for special exception that falls under multifamily and storage of 3 units. As stated by Chase, it would be 5 duplexes for a total of 10 units. All the lot size and all other requirements, then the general provisions for the special exception are met with the proposal. The staff will recommend approval.
And there's no drainage problem or anything?
No, that's all been worked out, all figured out already.
Do we have any more questions? I'm sure y'all are familiar with this piece of property. It's a good piece of property.
I'll make a motion to approve the special exception.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Anyone in the audience want to address this? This is on Mulligan Street. There being none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Okay. Planning Commission. Okay, do we have anything else coming before the Board of Zoning?
Just a reminder, we'll have the training next Tuesday.
Okay. Next Tuesday, we'll have a few-hour meeting.
What time?
11, correct?
Okay, that's good. That'll work.
Is it 10? Okay. I'm glad we did discuss that.
Yes.
10 o'clock.
10.
Okay. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Now we'll get ready for the Planning Commission meeting. Remember to come present.
Jerry, is that training for the BZA or the Planning Commission or both?
Both. It's for everything. Right. The planning is for both.
Yeah, the general will be able to help you.
Sorry.
How's it going? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got one. Yeah.
You know what?
I need one. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we would like to call the planning commission meeting to order. First item of business will be the minutes from the September 10th meeting. If you've had a chance to look over those or any additions or corrections.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as written and dispense with the reading.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. The next item of business, this is a rezone request. This is property located on Page Street. It's requested to be rezoned from R1 to R6 Smart Growth. Is someone here to present that?
Not yet. We're gonna have the project owner, manager speak first.
Morning. Yeah, so we own the property on Page Street. We had a previous request for townhomes. This request is to change from R1 to R6. In the previous meeting, there was a lot of discussion around, both from the neighbors and from the zoning board, a strong preference to keep the area as single-family detached housing. So in kind of reviewing those options with the different zoning laws, R2, R3, R6 being the option that would still mandate the single-family detached housing. That seems to be a very strong preference by many constituents in the area. So that's the request to R6. The primary drivers for the request are both lot affordability and lot availability. When my dad and I started building houses in the area back in 2017, 2018, you could buy lots. We bought lots for $10,000, around $10,000 under it, above it, sometimes kind of in that generic area. I looked this morning. There are currently 3 lots for sale on the MLS in the city of McMinnville. The cheapest one is $45,000, and that's for less than a third of an acre. $48,000, and then there's an $80,000 lot. So those are the options available to you now. And so with supply and demand issues, and as those prices keep increasing, it makes it harder and harder for us as builders to build a median priced house, which is our goal. That's the product we like to build, not something terribly small that doesn't have a lot of utility to the owners, and also not something too huge. But we like to build a median house, median sized home for the average McMinnville buyer to be able to afford. So that's kind of our goal with this project, is to be able to set up a subdivision that will be available to the median purchaser in McMinnville. And so that's
How many lots do you propose getting out of this 20 acres?
So until final engineering is done, it'd be impossible to say an exact number.
Sure.
But the kind of our initial estimates are about an extra dozen to 15 lots would come with this zoning change.
What would
so
be the total?
Somewhere around 60
Right,
60 lots, yeah, something around there.
Versus maybe 50 if it's
Versus maybe
on.
50, yeah, so 50,
Stay
yeah, something kind of in that range, for sure. And as we get further along, and we know where we can put roads based on lot requirements on the zoning, we can get a little further into, some of the erosion control, the watershed, utilities, that kind of stuff, to get more firm.
You don't gain as many because you have to have 80-foot frontage for R1 at 75, I think. So your backyard, I guess, is where you're gaining a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, so it would allow us to adjust roads a little bit, and have, some backyard, kind of utilize this piece of property a little bit more efficiently. It would be a similar amount of road construction, and so that would help to keep the lot cost at a point that will allow us to try to build that affordable house. So.
Does any board members have any questions, comments?
What are the points of ingress and egress?
It'll be on Page Street.
Okay, on Page Street. Nothing on Falcon Springs, or is that?
No.
Okay.
There'll be, what, one large entrance, I guess, and exit.
I believe we'll have two, I believe that's kind of, if we can get the, the zoning request confirmed, we'll have two.
Will there be more questions? We'll give y'all in the audience a chance to comment. Sean, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, so the property is large, it's 20-plus acres on this. As Harrison stated, this just gives a little more flexibility in that design. R6 to R1 is very, very comparable, especially from a use standpoint. R1 actually allows for a couple more special exceptions than R6 does. The lot with that, anytime for the fire code, anything that you have any single family development where there's going to be more than 30 units, 2 access roads would have to be available. And so that's going to be part of that request when we look at that as a subdivision, those 2 access roads so that fire can get in there and get through the area safely. This is in compliance with the general plan. That area is marked as, it's currently vacant land, but it is marked for mixed residential. And so this would be the single family would fit into the neighborhood, very similar to what's there. So it meets all the zoning requirements and staff would recommend a recommendation from this board to approval to the board of mayor and alderman.
Sure.
What was the request for last time?
The last request was for a PRD,
Yeah, that's right.
which allows much more density, yet open space area, different things.
Is Lyndon here to comment on the drainage situation later?
We're not really talking development at this point.
Okay.
So it's, the drainage will be figured out with the subdivision, it's gotta meet the stormwater regs, all of that. We just can't make a determination on that without
Sure.
knowing exactly what we're looking at.
It's just obvious there will be some
Yeah.
things
all that
to
will be
work out.
addressed.
And if it's helpful, we have been working with Lyndon kind of with some of the preliminary stuff already, so.
Any more comments? We're gonna open it up for the public here in the audience to comment.
Thank you.
If you want to comment, come forward, state your name and where you live.
I'm Carol Rutledge, and I live across the street right in front of just where it's going to be taking place. Talking about first of all, like I said about the street's very narrow. I have a ditch in front of my house, so if the water drainage is not good, then where is it going to go? It's going to go in my yard. I would like to request that the minutes and the vote from the last meeting where this topic was discussed be made available to all attendees. Within the minutes, you would be reminded of all the reasons why you voted against an apartment or condos.
We voted for this last time.
R1.
The full board did not, of mayor and alderman.
Yeah, they voted 5 out of 7. You and Stacy voted against us. But we got R1, which we agreed with that. That's 1,200 plus square feet house, okay? Yeah, mine's old. I live in an older house, but I take care of it. That's an older neighborhood, okay? So people has lived there 50 or 60 years. And now we're gonna start this right across from my house where's the people gonna, where's the driveways right across in front of my house? Okay, the drainage 2 years ago on Jefferson Street, and I found this out when I was doing my petition last time. The sewage came up on Jefferson Street, which is two streets behind me. The water drainage now, when it rains real hard, it's in my ditch. It's in the next door neighbor's ditch. So we're still asking, why are we allowing to come to vote again? The decision made last time should stand. Once again, we are meeting midday while many work to discuss a decision made months ago. And now we are allowing the builder to challenge the decision by requesting something slightly different. I would like to support growth, but also support preservation of existing homes. These are a multitude of areas, and there are a multitude of areas in McMinnville that need to be revitalized. Smaller homes might accomplish this in some areas. Before this issue is brought to a vote, I kindly request that the minutes and the vote from the last meeting is discussed. Also requested the builder provide a plan of the number of homes he intends to build and request the city address supporting. Verify if the money is available. Is he gonna, is the streets gonna be different? Is the water problem gonna be different? You all don't live in this area, we do. That's the reason we're here to say R1. Because an older neighborhood, we want it kept that way. So you'd have to think of our position. We live right there. How would you like it, Brenda?
Ms. Rutledge, are you aware that he could have sued the city last time and won in court, and we would have been forced to allow him to build that development? That's what's on the table.
Really?
Yes. We denied him his property
All of us
rights.
don't agree with that, right?
Well, it doesn't matter what you agree with, Ms. Rutledge. That's the law.
Well, okay, if that's the law, that's great, sir. But we're saying, when we vote in January, I'm praying that you all vote for us, for our neighborhood.
Well, one thing on this, if you will consider, the lots are not that different from R1. This
Yeah.
R6 is
They're gonna be smaller, yeah, and there's gonna be more
they're
houses
5
on
foot
it.
wider than R1.
15,000 square feet, square foot.
Versus
lots.
10 that's out of the
Versus 10.
backyard. The backyard is smaller. So,
But it's gonna be more houses, right?
yeah, there may be 10 more houses.
Yeah, is our neighborhood?
But it's independent houses.
Is our neighborhood gonna be ready for that? Thinking about that, think about that, Jerry, is our neighborhood?
Well, that's why we're here to discuss
Talk to the people that's lived
it.
over there 50 or 60 years, how long have you lived there, Larry? 50, yeah. I mean, we've got people that's lived there for many years, and now we're gonna bring this big houses in, build them somewhere else.
He doesn't own property anywhere else. He owns that property, and
He
you
owns a lot of property
want to
in one
deny
county.
him his property rights. How about if this commission told you just arbitrarily that you couldn't do something with your property?
Rob, why don't you put in front of your house?
Nothing can go in front of my
Oh,
house.
Okay, understand.
So it's
But
okay,
it does
we
go
need
in front-
development just as long as it's not near you.
It does go in front of my house. Okay, so I'm saying, and these others are saying the same thing. We wanted R1, that's what we voted on, that's what we wanted.
Well,
to
it's
do.
not your property, so.
That's right, it's not my property, but it is, I live there, and I can say.
No,
I do
you
have a
can't.
say.
No, you can't.
Yes, I do, Rob.
Okay, your time's up. Sit down,
Okay,
please.
let's let some of these other people speak. if you
Okay,
will. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Roger Yates. I live on Delano Street, and I am right there with this lady. Number one, I would like to have a copy of why we can be sued because somebody did not get a zoning request. Because I can't just go in and purchase or build anything I want to on my land without getting it rezoned. And I've also gone and been told by the city that I could not build on what we thought was another lot on my mom's property, so I had to purchase the house. So that's one. Number two is, we have a lot of discussion with, let's not stop him from doing what he wants to do with his development, but how about we talk about he purchased the property knowing it was zone 1, it was R1. He knew what that was zoned for, he knew how many houses he could do. I have tried and tried for the past 2 weeks since I saw the sign, go online and find out as much information as I can about R6, about R1, about everything. It's very hard. I found something this morning on the McMinnville.gov site, and it talked about that usually R6 is in high-density areas. We're not a high-density area. We are Zone 1. Also, this is supposed to be single-family detached dwellings, and it's not supposed to have any mobile homes or two-family dwellings or multifamily dwellings. However, I did find on the internet that R6s does allow for, in other areas, because I stated I couldn't find it for Tennessee, for McMinnville, that there can be duplexes and triplexes put on that land, and we need to make sure that it stays as single development houses. Also, we need to know what type of houses are going to be done and the maximum units that are done per acre. I thought that property that he purchased was 30 acres. Today you guys are saying it's 20 plus. I don't know what the 20 plus is, but I believe that at one time that was sold in a 30 acre lot. And what I found on the internet, and it may be right or it may not be right, R1 single-family residentials are typically building 4 units per acre. R2 is 9 units per acre, R3 is 13 units per acre, and R4 is 20 units per acre. I cannot find out how many units per acre can be built for an R6. What we've had a problem with the last time was not new houses being built, it was the number of people and increasing that to a high-density population. I'm not here saying I don't want new housing. We have to have new housing, but we also need to make sure that everybody is aware we're talking about availability of housing and not affordability. Affordability was thrown in the last time. We had a lot of people that was misunderstanding what was going on. This is totally 100% the accountability of the availability of the number of houses that we've got going in from McMinnville. And if you guys have problems with us not wanting to have a high-density area built in front of our properties, how about we extend the city limits? You say that we've only got a number of land here in the city of McMinnville. Let's go ahead and expand our city limits.
We can't arbitrarily annex property. People have to come
You
to
have.
us.
Now, you have in the past where
It's a
the
state law,
police
that's all
department-
they discussed, it's state law, we cannot annex. You have to request to come in, so that's,
Okay.
let's go somewhere else.
All right, so let's go somewhere else then. So let's talk about, as I stated earlier, when the developer purchased the property, it was zoned already at R1, low residential. We should not be back here combating this. We should not be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, Riley, threatened that we could have had a lawsuit brought upon us and upon McMinnville. And if that's true, then we need to take a look at it, because everybody goes through zoning issues, everybody goes through zoning requests. There's multiple types of things that's going on, and again, I would like to have a copy of how we can be sued and how that is pertinent to this one particular portion of the land.
One thing we might clear up, all property before it comes in city, it comes in as R1, and then you zone it from that. So that's.
I understand it
yeah.
from my research that I've done, and this property
that-
has been
that's
zoned
not unusual.
R1 for a while. But as she stated, we had in April of 2023 to where that we were fighting it being changed from an R1 to an R3, because we do not want it to become a high-density neighborhood.
Can I feel we need to clarify some things. Okay.
Sure.
At the last meeting, it was not going R1 to R3, it was R1 to PRD, which is Planned Residential District. A Planned Residential District allows for a greater density. At that time, the proposal was roughly 192 houses that were gonna be townhomes, not condos, not apartments, not anything of that nature. The PRD allows a higher density because you have an open space requirement, which allows for parks, different things, allows for drainage, all that kind of stuff. The 20 versus 30 acres. So as this was building, it is a larger parcel. The very back portion of the parcel, the upper portion of the parcel, is actually located in the county. It has not been annexed into the city. So there's that one. So that's why we're saying 20 acres. It's R6, we can only apply to the area that is located within the city. From the legal lawsuit standpoint, it is zoned currently R1. We have the general plan. The general plan said overall, this is how we want development of the city to look like. This area for residential, this area for commercial, this area for industrial. For this particular area, that falls mixed residential. That's why we got R3 right up just on the other side of this property, in which there are duplexes. So from the legal standpoint, if it meets the general plan and it goes through the process, we have the public hearings, all of that is met, then there's not a legal basis to deny that application. So that's where that legal sense is coming from on that. Because if it meets everything, then from the stance of this board making a recommendation and the board of mayor and aldermen, then there's a legal reason to say yes. If it does not meet all that, then you have the legal reason to say no. That's what opens up to the potential lawsuits that can go on that. So it's not just, if this is zoned R1, everything's gonna be zoned R1. Yes, this did have a different zone district applied for. We don't have anything in our zoning regs that says you can only apply once or only once every 2 years, anything of that nature. We don't have anything that states that. So they are within their rights to reapply and do a different application and go through the process again.
But
We cannot deny that. We cannot dictate that it's 1,200 square foot homes. Anything on that would have been through a deed restriction which the city cannot enforce. Again, we're talking about the zone change and the zone change only at this point. All the development-related issues, stormwater, sewer, all that is discussed and addressed at the next stage of subdivision. We can't require how many lots you're gonna have. We can't get into that discussion because it's what's permitted. As far as from an acre standpoint, it's 10,000 square foot lots. So you're roughly, an acre is 43,560 square feet, you're 4 lots. Roughly R1 is roughly 3, give or take, you got 15,000 square feet, so it comes to about 2.9. Each area, each R6 is different. RR6 does not allow duplexes, multifamily, anything of that nature. It's only single detached family home, which is what the development of the neighborhood is.
Okay, and then based on what you just stated, you said that with the R1 for the acreage, it's like, you said it'd be around about 2.9 units. How many units would it be for an R6?
4.
4. Okay, and then one thing else I did find out this morning, according to the McMinnville.gov for dealing with the zoning, it talks about that the person that is going to be doing the developing of the property, they have to present a preliminary sketch plot provided by a reputable state licensed surveyor, and within that plot, it's supposed to show how many houses that they're planning on
That's
building.
only going to be if it's a PRD.
That's only,
That's
okay,
only for certain ones, it's not for general zone change.
okay. Because this was.
Because the planned unit developments are very distinct and very different now.
Okay. So this might need to be updated then, because I didn't get time to print all of it out, but I'll take a look at that. But this also, we want everybody to understand, we're not against growth, we're not against new housing. What we are trying to keep is to keep our neighborhood exactly the way it is, and as I stated before, the developer purchased it knowing it was full well R1. I know he's well within his rights to request it to be changed. We're well within our rights to request that it stays as an R1. And so that's what I'm stating. They knew when they purchased it, it was R1. They knew how many houses they could build as an R1. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're wanting to do. And I appreciate the time, and I thank you all for your information.
Thank you very much. Someone else wants to speak to this matter. Here's your chance. State your name and where you live, please.
Mary Judkins, live 310 Page Street. I like to see this property stay R1, mainly because of the water drainage. This property does have a swell, stormwater pollution permit, so that tells you something there. If he would build houses like he did over on Lagoon Drive, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, he did, he built some nice houses over there, and that's what we want, something to complement the area, not contradict it. And I'm for the larger lot size myself, but that's what I feel.
Okay. But now, one thing on this consider, this doesn't necessarily mean smaller houses. It means just a little smaller backyard.
Yeah, well, water runs on grass.
But all that will be addressed. That will have to be taken care of, right, Sean? You just can't go in and do it without addressing that.
That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Someone else wants to comment?
Jerry, aren't the houses closer?
No, they're further apart. They're 80-foot lots instead of
They're only
75.
1,000 square feet, right?
You take it out of the backyard. Development cost is so great now, it's just so hard to do. Like we used to do subdivisions, it's just almost impossible
You
to
could
do.
build more houses, right?
You can probably get maybe 10 more houses in that area than you would in R1. To me, it seems like a good compromise from where you were at the last time, but we'll see.
My name's Emmett Woodard. I live at 102 Vickers Drive, across from where Mr. Judkins was talking about the new homes being built. We do think they're nice looking homes, and we appreciate that. The only problem is, one of them is right next to a drainage ditch. Very close to a drainage ditch. And when we haven't had any big rains yet, but when we get some big rains, that home's gonna be in trouble. So what I'm saying to you is I feel like the process that y'all go through here somewhere, something was missed. Because this permit was let and this home was built right next to a drainage ditch. I've got a picture here. I'm gonna give it to you. Y'all can take a look at it. It's not my home, but somebody came into this town probably not knowing that, and they bought that home. And I'm here today to say, I'm not against building new homes. We've seen a lot of lots, spare lots that people have being sold and people building on them. We think that's good. But let's do it right. Let's do it right. Okay? If you wanna put R6 up there, fine, but let's do it right. Let's fix the drainage. Let's fix the streets so people can get in and out. We have an obligation to the folks that have lived here for 30 years, been paying their property taxes, to try to keep their inconvenience down, okay? That's all I'm saying. Let's do it right. I believe we can do it right. I believe the builder can do it right. I believe we can make it happen.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else want to comment on this?
My name is Patricia Snodgrass, and I live at 423 Pace Street. And my comment is to Ron Chastain. I'm so disappointed to see you shake your finger in the face of the lady you did. I've known you and your family since you moved into Lincoln. I think your daddy would be so ashamed, and your mother so ashamed of what you just did in front of all these people.
Does that have anything to do with what we're discussing today?
That's what I said when I began, that it had nothing to do with what we're discussing now.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep this
That's what we're talking
Let's
about.
take this to the
All right, thank you
meeting
for your
we're having
comments.
today. No, we don't need that. Anyone else wants to come?
My name's Jimmy George. I live on, actually, my address is Farm Springs Road. I live on High Street and Farm Springs Road.
Okay.
I have property that joins this property on the west side. From what I have read in your website about R6, I feel like if it stays R1, the homes will be just a little nicer, bigger, because it says 25% of the lot area, the house can't exceed that, or something similar to that. And I realize there's not that much difference in 40 houses and 50 houses, but I feel like the houses will be just a little bit nicer if we leave it R1.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to comment? Here's your chance to comment on this.
Do you have one more thing? No
Well,
structure.
come forward and, where we can hear you. You can come forward and
Oh,
tell
okay.
us.
No structure in the R6 district shall exceed 35 feet or 3 stories in building height. Just wanted to read that. All I'm saying is, please consider us, consider our neighborhood, because R1, but we voted on that, that's what we wanted it to stay. There was 5 out of 7 voted for us. Let's just keep our neighborhood the way it is. That's all I'm asking.
When you were before, you asked me, you said, how would you feel if you lived there? And I said,
Yeah.
I'd probably be opposing it for the apartments, for the PUD. But this is just not that much different.
But Jerry, R6 it is a little bit different. I mean, I've read up on it just like he has. It is a little bit different.
It's a little different.
So I'm just saying, why can we not keep it at R1 and just our neighborhood be the same? We're just asking, since he's wanting to build, let us do R1. Let us just stay the way it is. Why do we have to go to R6? That's all I'm asking.
Well, consider this, and I sat there and I studied that as I looked at it, and I thought, if I lived here, it could be something, and it very well could happen, worse than R6. So you gotta consider that. If I lived there, I could live with R6. I'm just being honest with you, you know, if I lived in your house, I would probably be more pleased with R6 than about anywhere it could go. But you've got a right to express yourself, and we welcome each one of you here to give your views. And
I mean, mine's old, don't get me wrong, my house was built in the 50s, but I take care of it.
Oh, I know
It's a
you do.
nice house,
Thank you.
nice neighborhood.
It is a very nice neighborhood.
We just want the R1, the nice houses, like he said, like Larry said. There's some nice ones over there that he built on Lagoon Drive, is that right? They're nice ones. We want them like that. If they're like that, praise God.
But
Thank you, Lord.
just consider this while y'all doing your thinking. Somebody's gonna develop that land, something is gonna be there. This is probably about, could be as good as it's gonna get.
Well, we're gonna, they vote in January, right on it? Is that when we vote on it? Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna talk to each one of the aldermen and say, look, you know, we said R1, let's keep it at R1, let's keep it at
Yeah,
this.
and that's your right to do, express yourself,
All I'm
whatever.
saying is though, y'all would have to live there and look at that over there every day. That's what you would need to think. You need to come over and sit in front of my house and say, wow. And any of these neighbors, we're all gonna be taken. You know, we're all gonna have to look at it. But especially me, right there in front of my house.
understand.
And I've lived there 20 years. I just had new side and new windows put on my house. I plan to live there longer. So I'm just saying, beautiful area, let's keep it a beautiful area. Let's not just do what everybody wants to do.
But one thing now, get your mind on this, because it's R1, it would have been R1, but more than likely, most property gets changed, you know, when it gets developed. And just
You know, I
because he
thought
bought
we
it
voted
R1.
last year, and maybe I didn't know what I was talking about, Jerry, we voted last year, that, hey, it was done. But somebody told me, that used to be an alderman, I voted out, he said, I said, we won, let's just go on. And you know what he said? For now. Now I know what he was talking about, for now. We were gonna have to go through this again, and it just breaks my heart.
Well,
That's all I'm
I'm
saying,
sorry
Jerry.
that it does, but then again, I'm repeating myself, but consider what might go there, what could have, if the other had been approved, you would have had that.
Subsidized housing and projects could go there.
Not in my neighborhood. Not in yours, but not mine.
They could.
Not mine. But Jerry, thank you. I'm just
Okay,
saying that
and we appreciate each of you being here, and this is truly your right to come and express, this is a meeting to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep on. I'm gonna, if I have to, get out the code and get more petitions.
Someone else just wants to speak,
Okay,
let's
I'm
let them,
sorry.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
You're fine, you're fine. My name is Robin Rudisell. I live on 201 Fowler Street. I've lived there my whole life. And when I was a little girl, we had cows out in the field in front of my home. Now, I see crackheads walking, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but down at Willow Way, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, people go down there, I mean, my neighborhood has not become safe. When I was a kid, it was safe. Even when my kids were kids, it was safe. I would let them play out in the yard. But now, I had a cracked out woman try to get in on my mom last year. But since that housing project back that way has been developed, a lot of people are walking down through there, and you can tell they're cracked out of their minds. So all we're asking is, and not to have houses on top of each other. That looks trashy. You know, and I've lived in my neighborhood my whole life. And I love my neighborhood. And I love my family. And I don't want all that crap.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Okay.
One thing I want to bring up is, it's kind of confusing to me that we're talking about going from an R1, which is a possibility of being 40 houses or 40 units, to an R6, which is going to be 50 units, which is only 10 higher. Based
We've
upon.
not established, that's just
I
world.
understand it. That's what's been discussed today.
Okay.
So nobody's been able to state in the plot how many it says, so that's what's been discussed so far today. Based on the discussion today, and based on information, of course, I Googled on the internet, it's talking about 2021, the profit margin for new homes was around 22%. So a $280,000 home would provide a profit margin of $61,600 to the builder. So if you're talking about a difference in 10 houses, then you're only talking about $600,000 difference. So to me, it seems like we're really here talking about something more than just 600,000. Because I don't think they would be fighting as hard to put as many houses as they could in that development for just $600,000 additional. That's my personal opinion. Then the other thing, I do want to go with what the lady said that lives at 201 Fowler. My mother lives in the neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood. I moved back to the neighborhood in 2020. Since we've been back, we have had neighbors that don't have enough land as it is. They are riding ATVs, mopeds, and four-wheelers on our streets. They're in the middle. They don't stop at stop signs. Somebody's going to get killed. We've also got kids that are playing ball in other people's yards. And I know that for a fact because I've had to chase them out of some yards. And these kids have been playing football. They've been playing baseball. Their balls are hitting cars. They're hitting people's buildings. When I've talked to the parents, I was told, I'd rather my child play in your yard than to play in our streets.
Mr.
So
Yates,
that's
what does
already
this
happened.
have to do with a development?
Because you're wanting to develop and put more houses, smaller land, which means that the backyards are gonna be smaller. Kids will not be staying in their yards and playing. That's what I'm talking about. Because we see it now in the neighborhood with kids doing that. And we also had children that was coming in and stealing flowers from a flower bed with their parents standing right there. That's happening now. You increase the number of people. If you're going to do 50 houses times about an average of 4 people living in a house, you're talking about 200 additional people. Well, if you're talking about more houses, that's more people. So that's what I'm getting at is our neighborhood does not need to be pushed into a higher density area. Yes, let it go with the normal R1. That still is going to be increasing people, but we do not need to have a splurge or an explosion of people coming into the neighborhood that it can't support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, so, yeah, never mind. We don't need to go down that route.
Okay, Sean, you want to comment on this anymore? Give us anything else to consider?
Everything's been covered.
We've already denied this guy's rights once, so I make a motion we pass this along to the mayor, board of mayor and aldermen with the recommendation that we change the zoning.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Okay, now, any more discussion? Board members, hey, what's your,
I was just gonna ask, I mean, Ms. Rutledge asked about the street being very narrow, is there anything that we did?
That'll be looked at subdivision time, we can't look at it. All that will be addressed,
Yeah.
we just gotta get through this process to
Right,
address it.
right. I mean, it is narrow, people do look at last time I
I would make the comment that sidewalks and parks on that side of town would be nice to add and build our long-term plan.
So Jerry, we can't get a plat, to see a plat until this is all settled, is that right?
I don't think they don't know how to do a plat until they kind of see where they're at.
But wasn't it supposed to be a requirement based on the information?
Not
people
at this,
looked up?
not at this point. Okay, any more discussion? We call for the vote. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this will go to the mayor and alderman. This, all we do is recommend. This is a recommendation. They will take a look at it. And we'll go from there. And we really appreciate y'all being here. We respect your right to be here. You'll have the right to go express yourself. But keep in mind, he's also got the right to develop this. And most property just when it comes in the city, it comes in as R1. So don't get too carried away because it's R1, because just about everything's been developed. I developed property that was R1, but I got it changed because that's just the way the system works. So that's, don't be too hard on him about that.
That's a stupid question. If that gets changed to R6, what would be the process of somebody in the neighborhood purchasing a bunch of the rental properties there and trying to rezone 4 or 5 houses into an R6 to tear those down and to build more? I mean, you're talking about a neighborhood that's been existing for R1, but with that change, that could happen. I know a lot of things could happen, I know there's a lot of people that
We'll just get into things that, I don't know.
But that's possible, that's a possibility, a probability, of tearing down the old houses and creating a smaller and smaller house plan and having more people in the neighborhood.
Yeah. But we're gonna wind this up, but I think you're gonna be seeing smaller lots all over everywhere. I mean, that's just common, that's just what it's gonna be, because development cost. Okay, do we have anything else to come?
Just a reminder that we have training next Tuesday.
Okay. Everyone remember, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll have lunch for everybody.
okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all being
They
here.
let us know when the voting is in January, will we know that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.